Here are your hosts, Derek G and AJ.
The GOAT is back, and he absolutely cemented himself in UFC history. Jon Jones, he comes back. The man hasn't fought in 3+ years. He came in and made the #1 contender, the best heavyweight we have in the division right now, look like an amateur. I mean, it took, what, all of 2 minutes? His fastest win in his last, 13 wins or so? Oh, my Lord. Alexa Grasso, Viva Mexico. We got a lot to talk about here today. A big shakeup in the MMA landscape. And breaking it down with me, as always, you already know, it's the New Mexico native, the Santa Fe bomber himself. Brother, first off, let's talk about the more pressing news right here, man. Shevchenko, the Bullet. She got upset. She got dethroned. But she seems pretty confident that she's going to get it back in the rematch, man. I mean, what do you make of this moment? First female Mexican champion, Alexa Grasso, great ambassador for the sport. Give me your impressions.
Derek, it almost feels like it didn't even happen because nobody's giving Alexa Grasso any respect. Nobody was even thinking she was going to beat Shevchenko before. So now, man, it feels a little like we're almost lost in a dreamland, man. It doesn't feel real. I'm excited for this to actually hit and let's see the reign of Alexa Grasso. Do you think she'll be able to hold on to it a while, or are we going to see the bullet right back?
Well, she has to get that immediate rematch, right? That's already what they're saying. Valentina defended the belt 7 times, bro. Here's the crazy thing. If she would have defended this time, she would have completed the full octagon ruby, right? You get all the rubies on the defenses, man. So in one way, it did feel like a trap game because you got big old scary Erin Blanchfield at the horizon. I just got to get past Grasso and then I'll get to Blanchfield. And then when you don't focus on what's in front of you, you lose what you love the most, and that's the belt, man. But we got a lot of fun stuff to talk about here today. AJ, let's jump straight into the bet recap. Let's get it, brother. All right, folks. So quick recap. Somehow, some way, no progress on the board for me and AJ over the last 3 weeks. Didn't have the same picks, but we did finish 3-2 a pop. We are both at 19-4-2 on the year. Listen, I'm gonna have to just kind of get straight into it here, AJ. Before we talk about the props and stuff like that, because that's gonna be a little bit rough, man. My question to you is, we both kind of took a shot and we both kind of missed respectively on a couple of our picks. I thought Geoff Neal might be able to get it done, Hail Mary against Shavkat, and he was formidable, right? But it was a good shot. Kind of same thing for Jalin Turner for you with Gamrot, even though that was a little more controversial. Looking back at it now, I just want to ask you, would you still have made those picks, even in hindsight right now?
Still would have made the picks, man. I think that Jalin Turner was a lot closer of a fight than some people would think, man. And being a split decision on the night, it was a very competitive match. I don't know. Would you make the same picks, Derek?
You know what, man? I still think I'd throw the flyer on Geoff Neal. I mean, that was basically what you saw, right? Making Shavkat look human for 15 minutes. That's what I thought could happen. The only thing I didn't anticipate is that Rakhmonov is the full package on top of having an incredible chin, on top of just playing with this food and then deciding, oh man, I'm about to lose my 17 finishes in a row streak. Let me just tap this boy out real fast. Boom, done. Get him out of here. All right. This dude is ready for a title shot, brother. Let's get it. All right, man. Real quick, props. AJ, man, this is a weird one, right? Just because if you look across the board, I went all finishes, you went all finishes, and even though we were wrong on a lot of these props, 4 of the 5 fights ended up in finishes. We just didn't think it'd be a submission heavy night. So even though, I got more to explain than you because I went 0-5 on this, but at the end of the day, would you argue we're at least heading on the right mental path on this, correct?
Oh, 100%, Derek. We're getting closer with each and every week, and that's really the goal here, of staying accountable for these prop bets. And what blows my mind for this week, man, I was hedging prop bets a little bit, still went 1-4. That tells you how hard it is to choose exactly the way these fights go, man. I mean, I think it was something like 0.54% of people chose Jones by submission, and it was even crazier amount of people who chose him to win in the first round. So folks, if you bet with me, if you chose it, you can see the one prop bet we actually hit won y'all a lot of money if you're rocking with your boy, but still, either way, very hard to nail all those prop bets.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's what I was going to say, is that at the end of the day, you did hit the most important one. Jon Jones comes back and just submits Ciryl Gane, and it was in the realm of possibilities. I mean, if you actually, we'll talk about it in a second, man. We'll talk about it. But, folks, through and through, we still got a little bit of work to do, but you already know what time it was. It was a fantastic card, and before we mince any more words or just kind of jump straight into the action, I want to give you a friendly reminder. If you haven't subscribed to the Bloody Water Podcast, you should absolutely do so right now. But do it on your own merit, man. If you like the show, share it with your friends, subscribe, let the people know. At the end of the day, bloodywaterpodcast.com is the home, the hub, or you can reach us on YouTube at freethinkersclub.com/ or youtube.com/freethinkersclub. AJ, man, where can they find you on Twitch?
Man, twitch.tv/Santa Fe Bomber. In fact, all the social media, Santa Fe Bomber across the board. So go hit us up, man. And if you are jumping on the Twitch, you'd already know that there was some bets placed a little earlier. So if you're winning money early, it's a little bit better than winning it late.
Shit, I'm gonna have to go jump on this Twitch stream real fast, bro. All right, man, let's get it. Let's talk about these fights.
Have you seen that replay, buddy? Your head was bouncing around like a pinball machine.
Time for some main card breakdown, courtesy of your hosts, Derek G and AJ.
The GOAT is here. The GOAT is back. We don't know how long he's going to be here to stay, but he's not here for a long time. He is here for a good time. Heavyweight Johnny Bones Jones walks in and answered a couple questions, but I feel like there's still a lot of remaining questions that went unanswered after this performance, given that it took all of 2 minutes. They open up and Ciryl Gane hits him with a kick to the gonads, right off the bat, right? Slowed things down. We had toe gate, foot gate, tape gate off the bat where they weren't letting Jon Jones in the cage. Real quick, thoughts on that? What do you think that was about?
My only question was why they only cut off one of the tape. If you're gonna say no tape, no tape. I was very confused. Do you know the actual Nevada State Athletic Commission rule behind that, Derek?
No. And I was trying to kind of figure it out, like real quickly scrambling before the show. I wasn't really able to find out the information that I was aiming for. I thought what was most... I thought the worst part about this situation is that I felt it took Jon Jones out of the entire flow of I'm going to war, I'm going to battle, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait, tape, huh? Please let me fight, right? And for a split second, AJ, I said, we're never going to see heavyweight Jon Jones enter that octagon. Like, they're going to call the fight right now, and it's going to be over, right? And, like, you maybe would have been happy with it given you saw the upset on Valentina. You'd been like, all right, we'll call it a night, whatever. But came close. Either way, he enters the cage. He goes against Ciryl Gane, man, and then he does kind of what his bread and butter is he walks you forward, puts your back up to the cage, and he's done this against the highest level opposition, but he crunches you up against the cage, and then he hits you with that guillotine. And he did it on Gane, and the only problem was, I think people didn't believe it. They were like, what, did he throw the fight? Like, was this what you were fighting? That's how impressive Jon Jones is. Did you expect for Jon Jones to be able to get the takedown that easy?
That easy? I mean, I guess we should have with how Francis did it against Gane, but I was expecting just a little bit more resistance from Gane. It seems like everybody knew what the game plan was, and he still wasn't able to shut it down.
It's pretty incredible when you look over the numbers, man. I mean, total significant strikes technically landed between the two amount to 11, right? You can argue Gane never really touched Jones in a significant way other than the cup shot in the beginning. So once again, questions unanswered. I'm very impressed. He made it look easy. He's the GOAT. I think it's definitive. You don't have to ask any other questions. I mean, he's done more than any other fighter in the company's history has done in terms of just accolade. But we didn't see the chin get tested. We didn't really see his calves get tested. We didn't really see somebody try to like push him later rounds. So it makes you beg the question that they're setting up now for International Fight Week. Stipe Miocic, the former heavyweight GOAT, versus Jon Jones, the new heavyweight star here. And if they clash, there's going to be another question of unknowns, man. I mean, where do we even go here? Who can you favor? Obviously, Jon Jones made it look this easy on Gane. You have to favor him. But, I mean, Stipe was the champ for a long time for a reason. What do you think?
Stipe was the champ and has the right set of tools to present a very serious challenge for Jon Jones. It's hard, though, because you don't see Stipe fight and you barely see him in the crowd over there, man. So it's going to be really a lot of questions answered as far as Jon Jones in his heavyweight career going forward, I think, with every single fight. But what this kind of reinforced for me, Derek, is the level that we've always been talking about on this show between the kind of heavyweights. Yep. Now, what the nice thing is, we do know Jon Jones is, again, solidified in that upper echelon of heavyweights. And it's just adding more and more gap between the rest of them. I'm interested because I genuinely think the one person who's going to hand Jon Jones his first legitimate loss is probably some 16, 17-year-old, 18-year-old kid who's trying to get into the UFC now. I don't know if any of these actual heavyweights on the roster can do it. What do you think, Derek?
Well, that's if he sticks around longer than he needs to, because the way that he plans it out is before this fight, he says, I got 2 good ones left in me, and then I'm going to dip. I think he signed his contract for longer than that. It was like 5 fights, 7 fights or something like that. But he can't make the mistake that we're seeing. I mean, you're starting to see it with some of these other champions, and we'll talk about it in a moment. But Valentina is looking a little more vulnerable now, and the way she lost her belt, we'll talk about it in a second. But a lot of these dudes, Kamaru Usman loses his belt, right? I mean, even Ngannou was getting tested, Miocic when Ngannou was coming around. All of these guys, after a while, somebody's going to have your number. I just don't think it's going to be quite that day yet for good Johnny Bones Jones, man. All right, let's tackle this, and then let's move on. Ciryl Gane, after a definitive title loss like this, like definitive. So you've lost 2 fights in terms of title fights. I think it's 2 title fights in a row, right? You lost them. How many more shots are you going to keep getting at this title? You know what I mean? Like, after a while, they have to put you on the back burner simply due to we can't let you fight for the title 10 times and lose. You know what I mean? So at this point, what's his role? I mean, he's still probably the number 1 contender in the division. Who does he fight at this point?
Yeah, I'm trying to even think of what would be an exciting match for Ciryl Gane. Do we put him against a Curtis Blades? Something that's, I mean, that's probably the best thing that comes to mind. Other than that, you know, you don't want to see the Derek Lewis fight. He's already beat up Tai Tuivasa as well. Sergey Pavlovich, and Blades seem to be the best option, unless you can think of something else, Derek. But I agree. It's hard to get excited for a Gane fight when he didn't even really do much promotion. He was just, it's to me, and this is obviously is not a putting down of Gane or a knock of Gane, but it seemed like he was just happy to be there, just happy to compete. And even on the embedded that UFC does, Jon Jones is saying the same thing. He's like, man, Ciryl Gane has the record on a video game. He's out here just playing. He's out here happy to be here. I'm here for war. And it did kind of seem like that. And I don't necessarily, it's not, like I said, a knock against Gane, because I feel like that's just his mannerism. That's just who he is. He's just a nice guy. He's out there to compete. He's not there for the war. And it just makes it, as far as a sellable point, not that exciting. Do you agree, or you see something different?
Yeah, I mean, I feel that's a little harsh, personally, man. I think that Gane, at the end of the day, like, this dude's got, like, what, 11 MMA fights? Like, pro
he's
MMA?
A killer.
MMA?
He's a killer. Don't get me wrong. I just feel like he's hard to market is all.
Oh, yeah. I'm just coming from the perspective of, I think he's like, look at where I've gone in like 4 or 5 fights in the UFC. I'm already at the top of the game. I think he's a much better athlete overall than maybe a purebred killer like a Jon Jones or whatever the case may be. But I think that he's thinking marathon, not sprint. So he's like, eventually, Jon Jones, he's going to be out of here. All these guys are going to be out, and it's going to be my time. And it's just not yet. So, I mean, interesting state of the heavyweight division right now, but Jon Jones is definitely your king at the moment, man. And let's move on to this co-main, brother. All right, I'm not going to lie to you, man. I kind of felt like Alexa Grasso, of all the contenders out there, was probably the least likely to be able to do something formidable like this against Valentina Shevchenko. But she did it. And the beauty of this situation is that at the end of the day, man, it doesn't really matter what we think. It's a matter of what happens in the octagon. And in the octagon, man, Grasso looked sharp. And she made Shevchenko switch up her game plan a little bit. And the biggest factor in that is that she came out, normally orthodox, she came out southpaw. So now you have southpaw on southpaw. Who knows what Valentina Shevchenko was expecting, but you could tell there was a big feeling out process. And when it was a pure boxing match, who knew? Grasso was getting the best of her. Is that super surprising, AJ? Because I feel like a lot of people were shocked. Oh, my God. Look, she's tagging Shevchenko, da-da-da-da. But I'm like, well, we knew this, and we knew Shevchenko said, well, this is an MMA fight, so I'm going to mix it up. So what do you think?
No, it wasn't surprising to me in the fact that Alexa Grasso was able to initiate her offense. What was surprising to me was the fact that Shevchenko didn't have an answer or a game plan in order to solve the problems that were being presented to her. It seemed to me, and you can answer this one too, Derek, it seemed to be a little bit more that Shevchenko was off of her game. And credit to Alexa Grasso, because she put her off of her game in order to really have the fight in favor of Grasso. And I feel like that's where the comfort level was all on Grasso's side. She was the one kind of stepping in and showed that hand, showed that, I'm going southpaw now. What are you going to do? And it seemed to be a little bit more about Valentina, like you said, filling it out. Like, oh, shit, like now I don't have the strikes that I wanted. The holes are different. I need to figure this out. and it seemed to be a little bit longer of a time. And I don't know if that was necessarily Shevchenko completely off of her game or 100% because of Grasso, but it seemed to be a little bit of a kerfuffle, if you will. What do you think, Derek?
Well, some would argue that Alexa Grasso was just faster, right? And Shevchenko was having a little bit of a hard time dealing with that speed. And she's 35 years old, man. So some are arguing, oh, she's slowing down. Is this the end of Shevchenko? I think that when you get to this point in your career where, okay, these young bucks, these Alexa Grassos, they're coming out, they're sharp, they're quick, they're motivated, right? Yeah, you might start losing the speed battle, but through and through in that fight, if that fight would have continued the way that it was going into round 5, did you have any doubt that Shevchenko was going to win the fight?
A little, man, a little. Grasso looked sharp, and would it have been a point victory? Yeah, Shevchenko all day long. But there was points that Grasso was surprising me a little bit more, and it just seemed like she was just on. And that's kind of, I don't know. What do you think?
I don't think so, man. In my eyes, the way that I was watching it, Shevchenko was getting takedown after takedown after takedown, and Grasso was getting defeated with the goddamn. I gave her another takedown, and every time that she would get there, yeah, she got back up to her feet a couple times, but 4 for 6 on takedowns for Shevchenko, man. And I just noticed that the broadcast team would make it a really big deal when she would shoot in for a takedown and get stuffed. But I'm like, yeah, but she just landed 4 other takedowns. So it's like, what do we, like, you know what I mean? I really do think that the perception of Valentina Shevchenko at this point is if she looks human whatsoever, it's the biggest knocks on her. Like, she doesn't get the same shake as another person does. And rightfully so. You've been a dominant champion. So Alexa Grasso, she capitalizes on a patented trademark move of Shevchenko, a spinning back kick. And this right here, AJ, I think is a testament to Alexa Grasso. On the other hand, let's not forget, she also does commentary work, right? So she's an analyst of mixed martial arts. But when you have so much film on you and you have so many documented history of your tendencies, she knew as soon as that kick came, take the back, baby. And then everybody said, stop throwing spinning shit. But that's Shevchenko's specialty, man. You know what I mean? She throws spinning back fists, you're not going to complain. But the spinning kick, now all of a sudden it's a problem. My biggest issue here is that Shevchenko celebrating her 30th year anniversary as a martial artist, when she got her back taken and an arm wrapped around her neck, she did 0 hand fighting. That's what surprised me, man. That's what lost her the fight. She got both hooks put in, and when her arm was around her neck, her hands were out as a base as opposed to immediately fighting. So Alexa Grasso, who I do not think is a highly touted jiu-jitsu, like in terms of her experience, I don't think she's like super high level. She did what she needed to do, man. She choked her, punch him in the face, take the back, and then put him to sleep. And that's what she did. And no, Viva la Mexico, man. First female Mexican champion in UFC history. We got La Pantera, we got Yair Rodriguez, we got Alexa Grasso, and then we have Brandon Moreno, right? Assassin Baby. So through and through, man, do you feel, I just try to give a logical, reasonable evaluation of what's at stake. Do you think that I'm looking at it in the wrong lens? Is this truly, all right, Shevchenko out, Grasso in, come on, in with the new, out with the old? What you think?
No, I do think you're looking at it the correct way. This isn't necessarily, even though it is a changing of guard, I don't think it's going to be a changing of guard for that long. This might be the loss that Shevchenko needs to be that heel that I was talking about before. But it is also a nice time for Shevchenko to really let everybody else know that she is human. So now we can kind of get back to seeing how good she actually is. Because for a long time, Derek, she was so untouchable that, like you said, any little chink in the armor, oh no, like it was just, it was a big deal. So now I'm excited to see where this goes, because it's almost like a reinvigoration of the division, and hell of a fight for Grasso, man.
Well, that's what's interesting. That's what Shevchenko said. She was like, well, at least now there's a little movement in this division. I hope they're going to be motivated, and I hope this gets them ready, because I'm coming right back and I'm taking my belt back, right? So I just want to ask you this, and then we'll move on. Plus 2,500 submission prop for Alexa Grasso. Nobody thought it was possible. Everybody wrote her off. Who do you think made out like a bandit with that plus 2,500 submission prop, bro? I mean, come on. What are you thinking?
Derek, I don't even think there may have been one solo person, so much so Verdict didn't put out a bet number. Nobody put out a bet. Like, there wasn't anything on Twitter that anybody bet the plus 2,500 submission. I definitely wasn't calling for it. I don't think anybody was, Derek. Did you see any news about anybody calling it? Did you just look it up?
No, but I just looked up right now on Tapology, and you know how they do the predictions, right? 93% of people picked Shevchenko to win, right? So only 7% of the voters, of the 5,700 voters, picked Grasso to win. 20% of that 7%, which is, I can't even do that math, picked her to win via submission. So it was the slimmest margin right there. You got to hand it to her, man. Over and under on title defenses here. AJ, my over is 0.5. 1. Over, under. Under. Sorry. All right, man. Well, I love the moment, man. I love the storyline here, but I do think Shevchenko is slated for a smash spot when she comes back. And also, it's like, let's fight a little more safe, right? Let's stop taking risks, and you can just grind out these decisions. At the end of the day, man, you have nothing else to lose at this point. But you want to talk about a guy right here, AJ, that doesn't think about like not taking risks. So he takes risks 100% of the fight, regardless of what's going on. We're talking about Shavkat Rakhmonov, man. So I told you I've been rooting for this guy for a long time, but I thought Geoff Neal would be that test, that stopping point, that's the reality check. And I got checked by reality right here, because Shavkat is not a number 10 ranked fighter, not number 9, not number 7. Give this dude a title shot, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, and this is a scary division, because at this point, I mean, you're talking about Shavkat Rakhmonov matched up with the Usmans, with the Leon Edwards, with the Colby Covingtons, with like these Bilal Muhammad type guys. And I think that he could hang with them. Absolutely. Let's talk about this matchup, man. First off, we know Shavkat is now the whole entire package, but let's give credit where credit is due, man. What did you think about Geoff Neal's performance in this fight?
Man, this was as close as you could get to giving Shavkat his first L. Yeah, I do think if this went to decision, they were going to give it to Shavkat anyway. But this was the litmus test, man. And this was a fight that Shavkat, for the first time, had felt, oh, shit. Oh, shit. This boy hits hard. I'm a little rocked. I'm a little wandered. We saw, I forget, it was the second or the third round. Homeboy got the chicken dance going a little bit. You saw a little bit, for the first time, a look of worry on the eyes of Shavkat Rakhmonov. This was a good fight, man. All credit to Geoff Neal, because like I said, this is the closest we've seen to that oh shit factor on Shavkat Rakhmonov's face. And credit to Rakhmonov here too, because he shined. He was able to compose himself. He was able to get the win and actually solidify his finish rate. But still, man, great fight. I was excited for this one, man. This was a fight that really invigorated the rest of the crowd and everybody else around, man. This was a fun one. What do you think?
That's right. I'll tell you what, biggest surprise of this entire fight. My question going into this was, Geoff Neal, can he get up if he gets taken down? That's what determines the outcome of this fight. Well, guess what? He never got taken down, AJ. That was what I was saying. I was like, this dude doesn't just get taken down. He was rocked, man, on just seeing stars, seeing everything, and still wouldn't give up the takedown. I was like, that's how you know Geoff Neal is coming for business. That's how you know he's a tough, formidable opponent, and all of the Geoff Neal detractors need to take a step back. But let's also address the elephant in the room. My man came in like 5 pounds heavy, bro. So I don't know what is going on. We have no idea what the real story is. Part of the shame that we record the episode before weigh-ins. But that, when I saw that, I was like, oh no, this isn't going to be good. What do you make of Dana White saying, yeah, he missed weight, he's ineligible for a bonus, but I don't give a fuck, I'm paying him anyways? What do you make of that? They got fight of the night.
They got fight of the night and deserved fight of the night. I mean, at the end of the day, Uncle Dana is the boss, so you get it done. Definitely doesn't set a good precedent, though. Lets everybody else know in the back, this is, at the end of the day, a performance industry, so you can break the rules if you want.
That's right.
I think it's, is it a good call business-wise? No. Am I happy that it happened? Yeah, because it was a hell of a scrap. And to do that against a guy like Shavkat Rakhmonov, the black horse in the division, and for a Geoff Neal who is kind of fallen into mediocrity of sorts, this is a hell of an opportunity, and I like to see it.
I'll tell you what, man. I agree with you to a point, but I'll say Geoff Neal, he was hitting Rakhmonov with shots that Vicente Luque couldn't stand, and Rakhmonov was able to walk through. But this is what's even more impressive. Look at these numbers, AJ. So Rakhmonov, he has officially 5 fights in the UFC, all 5 fights by finish. He has a finish in round 1, round 2, and now round 3. So this dude can do it all, right? Look at these numbers, man. First fight against Oliveira, he lands 13 strikes. Then 21 against Prazeres. Then 13 against Harris. Then 19 against Magny. Now he has to crank it up. 113 against Geoff Neal, man. Also gave up the most strikes that any other fighter has been able to do. Look, literally 9 strikes, 6 strikes, 10 strikes, 11 strikes, then 69 strikes. So good on Geoff Neal for hitting that. But I think if we can predict the future just a little bit, man, I don't want to say anything is preordained or destined or predetermined, but it feels inevitable that Shavkat Rakhmonov will be a dominant champion. The only thing he needs to clean up is it feels like he takes unnecessary risks, bro. Like, you don't need to go and fight that war. It's like he gets tagged up and he's like, yes, let's get it, right? So touch on that, but also touch on the fact that 30 seconds left and he says, yeah, I think I want to finish this. And he just big brothers Geoff Neal with the standing rear naked choke. And it's just like, yeah. And then drops him and then walks off and he's like, yeah, this is what I do. What do you think? After a war. I mean, touch on all of that. What do you think?
After a war, Derek, and it was crazy because it was literally, you could see the decision being made. Oh, 30 seconds? Oh, I got to finish this guy. And he literally goes and finishes him. It was wild to see. So it begs the question if Shavkat was actually out there just to have a war. And it kind of seemed like that, Derek. I agree with you. Homeboy takes unnecessary risks. But at the end of the day, is that not why they got paid an extra 50 G's? It won't last. It won't be a long-term fight kind of career to going forward like that. But at the end of the day, you got paid even more money. So good and bad right there, but I agree with you. Shavkat takes these interesting risks and is happy when he's getting punched in the face, makes it an exciting fight, but then you also can go to sleep that way. So I'm interested to see who they pair him up with. I doubt they'll give him that title shot we're hoping for right away. But number 5, a Sean Brady, a Bilal Muhammad, man, those are all interesting fights in that upper echelon. That it's 8 to number 1. What do you think?
Well, I know Chimaev, I think he's staying at 185, but you got basically a couple options. You got Colby, you got Bilal, and you got Gilbert. It's pretty much your most realistic options right here, unless you're trying to slow track the man and then give him like a Stephen Thompson or something like that. But why? Why would you do that matchup stylistically? All right, before we move on, man, you never answered this one. Will this be a inevitable dominant champion? Will Shavkat have a long-term reign on this division?
I want to say, yeah. Like, I feel like skill-wise, yes, he will. We'll see how the momentum turns. Something tells me it's not gonna be the rocket ship ride for Shavkat. I feel like he's gonna have some ups and downs. Maybe it's just because he's a little hard to market, but maybe once we kind of start seeing a little bit more of that personality, because he has it. He is that, like, he has like I don't want to say cute demeanor to him, but he does have this personality that makes people want to watch him. So the potential's there. Will he be a dominant champion fight-wise? I think he has all the skills necessary. I don't know if he's going to get the opportunities to be able to put him in that light. But if he can be undeniable with the hands and the feet, then, we'll see him going forward.
Listen, man, we just saw this man couldn't get a takedown and said, I don't need the takedown. I'll just win this way. You know what I mean? Knees to the body every time Neal came in, man. Just impressive stand-up. I'll say sky is the limit for Rakhmonov, and the rocket ship is taking off right now. Upward trajectory. I think we're fast-tracking the man. Let's get it. All right. In an interesting turn of events right here, man. I mean, listen, you got to give credit where credit is due. Mateusz Gamrot came in short notice against a dude nobody wants to fight, against a dude who has a 10-inch reach advantage, against a dude who he has to stare up at in order just to be able to throw punches to. And you got to argue, man, this dude did very, very well. I don't want to hear nobody sit here and say that Jalin Turner just starched Gamrot, this was a robbery, da-da-da-da-da, because the way I was looking at it is Gamrot having to literally like close the distance any way possible. He outstruck Jalin Turner, not with pity pat shots. I'm talking about with like getting in, clipping him with the left hook, and then like running away and being like, all right, let's reset. Like, what'd you think about that strategy, man? He could not sit in the pocket against Turner because everything Turner hit him with hurt him. So like it came down to volume and control versus damage. And a lot of people think because Turner hits like a Mack truck, his couple of spots where he hurt Gamrot should have won him the fight. But what do you think?
It's hard because the damage really is very impressive, and you're right. You can't just sit in the pocket with Jalin Turner, but Gamrot knew that and was doing the exact game plan. So how do you not give that IQ fight style a little bit more of a bonus, a little bit more of a point recognition, because you see what's going on. It's like playing chess. If you know the guy's going to attack this way, you go around. You don't fight fire with fire. You fight fire with your own skill and be able to accomplish that. I think Mateusz had a great idea, game plan, however you want to phrase it, going into this one, because everybody knew short notice, like you said, Mack truck, all these things were stacked against Gamrot, but he was still able to have a thoughtful, concise way to win the fight. As unappealing and as unexciting it was, because even the people I was watching the fight with, man, everybody was hoping the Tarantula was going to win. They were all screaming robbery. And you got to tell him, hey, at the end of the day, this was a very smart fight from Gamrot, who solidified his place in the division. You can't be mad at him. I don't. Yeah, it's a good fight. I mean, nothing else you can really say.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, man, is I feel like a lot of people are so high on Jalin Turner that they don't want to logically look at this fight, and they just want to say, no, it's like when you're in a street fight and then you start going for takedowns and they're like, hey, none of that takedown stuff. No, just stand here and bang. And it's just like, well, yeah, come on, bro. There's a strategy here. I'm trying to get my full check and walk out this and go feed my family. So I will say this is a temporary pause in the career of Jalin Turner, who prior had, 5 finishes in a row, if not more. But for Mateusz Gamrot, this is exactly what you need from an experienced high-level fighter who went to war with Beneil Dariush and Arman Tsarukyan. You need this type of performance to go to show, hey, I'm still here, and guess what? I kind of did the company a favor. So now you should probably keep me in your good graces. Where do you think Jalin Turner goes from here? I would imagine he learns a very valuable lesson after this loss to Gamrot.
I still think he goes up in the, or at least up in the division to fight somebody ranked higher than him. But a big learning lesson. I still think they're going to slow track the kid. I feel like he has a lot of value in the UFC, and you don't just want to send him to the dogs right away. I don't know. I don't have a good fight in mind, especially at 155, which is a very stacked division. But I do see stars coming forward for this kid for sure. What do you think?
Well, when you look at it, man, Jalin Turner, right, which is really interesting. If we're looking at the rankings right here and just like the situation that he was in, he was slated originally to fight Dan Hooker, right? He's number 10. He was going to fight Dan Hooker. That got canceled, and then he moves up here to number 7. So it was a win-win for him, kind of, right? It was like at the end of the day, well, like I was going to defend my rank. Now I'm over here fighting this guy for a higher opportunity. I think that you get stuck kind of in this mix of like the Chandlers, Fiziev, Sarukians, Dos Anjoses. Like that's the mix that you're kind of stuck in at this point if they're willing to fight him. That's the question. A lot of these guys I do not think want to fight Jalin Turner because look at what this man can do. So, I think the sky's the limit here. But for both of these, it just goes to show, man, lightweight, even though we try to say bantamweight is the best division or this or that, lightweight is still like stacked and stacked and stacked. You got killer on killer on killer. It's an exciting time to be an MMA fan right now. I will say that, man. Huge fight right there. And then we can move on to the next one here. But let me just look one more time. Yeah, plus 200 for the decision prop on Gamrot, which was the best prop that he had available to him, man. But I really did think that when he got on top of Turner, that he would be able to just finish the job there, man. Goes to show how good Turner is to be able to get out of those positions. All right. And now for a little controversy. You can't have a card without a little bit of controversy, AJ. But Bo Nickal comes through and does what everybody expected that, he needed to. We missed the layup because we said Bo by TKO, and it's like the sub layup was right there. No value in that, but still. But the controversy comes in the fact that Bo Nickal rushes forward, clinches up with Jamie Pickett, knees him straight in the nuts, takes him down, and then finishes him. And the referee, it felt like for a moment, I think it was Keith Peterson, it felt like he saw it and was going to step in, but then the takedown happened and he was like, fuck it, go ahead. It felt like nut shot or no nut shot, this was kind of inevitable, right? But it is not a fair shake when you get straight, come on, bro. So my question to you is, how does it look? Because you saw the replay, right, AJ? Like you saw it was clean, right? Like how clean would you say that was?
Basically the cap of his knee hit the cup square on, Derek. A very as clean as you could get. I think it was only cup that was hit, maybe a little bit of thigh, but basically all cup, man.
So what kind of look is it that Bo Nickal in the post-fight interview, I'm sure he probably didn't watch it, the replay or anything like that, but they asked him about it and he was like, no, I didn't hit him in the nuts. I'd never fight that way. I don't want to take shortcuts. And it's like, well, maybe you should believe the people who are asking you about it because there's an instant replay that shows like cleanly, right? So Bo Nickal kind of has he has his opportunity marred a little bit, right? Because now it's like, yeah, you're a beast, but what would have happened? So Jamie Pickett is appealing this loss, all that. 2 questions. 1, is anything to come out of this appeal? Do they actually appeal it to a no contest? And then number 2, shoot, man, Jamie Pickett got some experience and Bo Nickal just ragdolled him. So where are we going from here?
I don't think they overturn it or make this a no contest or anything like that. Whether you're getting kneed in the nuts or not, if a guy grabs a hold of you and throws you to the ground, don't let him do that, and you won't have it done. I mean, that's it. Sure, you got kneed in the nuts, but okay. Like, it still happened. You know, the fight is still on, and the rule remains the same. Protect yourself at all times. Whether you get kneed in the nuts or not, you still got to make sure you're not going to get punched in the face. So I don't think they're going to overturn it, unfortunately, for Pickett. What was the second question, Derek? I already forgot.
It's okay, because I kind of forgot too. I think what it came down to is that he ragdolled Jamie Pickett in such a fashion that it makes you beg the question, like, what's next? Who can you potentially match this guy up with next when you're steamrolling people this way?
Yeah, and I actually like the doubling down of Bo Nickal, where he says, I don't need anybody in the nuts, never. I feel like you got to double down, even though there is actual photographic proof that you need homie in the nuts. Now, but where do we go with Bo Nickal? It's hard because he's such a big sell, so you got to put him on a pay-per-view. Maybe a fight week. I don't know, man. But, I mean, 185 pounds, this dude, if you can't feed him anything lower than 15 in that top 10 range, you got to fast-track this dude. He has a lot of skill going forward. I'm trying to think, 185. Michel Pereira? He's 170?
Michel Paeta, I believe, is 170. Yeah, at 185, you're looking at, 185, you're looking at the Chris Curtis's, Andre Muniz, Brendan Allen, Kelvin Gastelum's. Like, those are kind of the tail end. Imavov, right? I don't know if they're going to give him a ranked guy yet, though, man, to be honest with you. I think that they're going to still try to build up his experience level in the UFC because, you know, they pick and choose and who they want to kind of bring up the farm system a little bit. But Jamie Pickett has fought some legit guys, man, so you can't sit here and say that this was just some nonsense fight. If you look at Jamie Pickett, I mean, this dude fought the Dennis Tululin, Kyle Dawkins, Joseph Holmes, Starpoli, right? Like, he's fought some guys. So it'll be interesting to see what's next with Bo Nickal. I just thought that this was very similar to my sleeper, Cameron Simon, and how this dude was just nut-shotting off the fucking hook, man. Just nut-shot, eye poke. And it's like, dude, you're a beast and you're killing these dudes, but this is not making you look good. And I felt the same way with Bo Nickal. Either way, sky's the limit with this guy. Make a prediction right now, man. It's kind of tough to do so, but middleweight division, does Bo Nickal eventually become a champion?
100%. That wrestling is so hard to deal with in a division with some really good wrestlers too, but I feel like the levels are just absolutely astronomically different.
I want to see him fight a wrestler. That's what I want to see. I want to see Bo Nickal versus a legit wrestler and see what that turns into. Because if it turns into a kickboxing match, that's when the questions get answered, right? Mm-hmm. But either way, UFC 285, arguably the biggest card of the year thus far. But don't forget, a lot of these bouts set up a phenomenal set of marketing for International Fight Week this week, which should be amazing. I will most likely be there this year again. So I'm excited. Let's get it, brother. Let's talk about a couple of prelims, man. We had some good action on the prelims, and we had some very meaningful bouts that I was a little surprised about a couple of them. So the first one that I want to talk about, man, is AJ, man, are you sold? Cody Garbrandt, he gets a victory, technically, right, against Trevin Jones, man. But Trevin Jones, man, he pulled almost a William Knight. Like, this man didn't want to pull the trigger. Both of these dudes combined landed less than 50 significant strikes total. But Cody Garbrandt did come out, man, and after his performance where he looked sharp in the beginning, did a little bit of wrestling, got the job done, said that he injured his neck about a week before the fight. Arm went numb, and during the fight, he landed a takedown, arm went numb, and he had to resort to survival mode. He got the job done. This was do or die. So my question is ultimately, like, are you convinced that Cody Garbrandt is still championship level, or are we just prelim gatekeeper Cody Garbrandt at this point?
I think unfortunately, Derek, we are prelim gatekeeper Cody Garbrandt. I mean, he had not a lackluster performance, but not a Cody Garbrandt no love performance that we've seen. And admittedly, it was because he's injured. But how far is a neck injury going to keep you going if you're going to keep trying to fight better and better people for the championship in a sport that literally your neck is one of the most important parts of your body? I think we're on the tail end of a Cody Garbrandt career right here, unfortunately. So I hope he starts to make a couple different moves outside of the octagon, because even though it was an exciting fight against Trevin Jones, there were moments that provided some excitement, some thrill, and with Cody Garbrandt, you always are on the edge of your seat waiting for that big right hand. There wasn't much else besides that excitement of a potential big right hand, you know, and it wasn't rough to watch, but you can tell that it was a different kind of thing. Somebody getting back into the flow of things, and with an opponent who doesn't want to throw like Trevin Jones was, it makes it hard, man. So it was more of a back and forth of watching what's going on than an exciting match. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I do agree. It's hard when your opponent is all defense and they're not throwing nothing at you. You could tell he wanted to counter, but he was back to his dancing ways, hitting him with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so at least the confidence is back a little bit. But he got touched once he got started getting touched in the third round. All that confidence went away. So, yeah, interesting times. Listen, man, this one is a tough one for me just because we got a little bit of love for Blonde Brunson over here, man. Looked real formidable round one against Dricus Du Plessis. But listen, Du Plessis just did. I'm surprised, man. Here's the thing: everyone keeps calling out Du Plessis and saying he has no gas tank, right? But his thing is, my nose doesn't work. I breathe crazy. It looks bad. I know it looks bad, but I'm not tired. Trust me, guys. And he pretty much proved that against Brunson in a way, right? He outpaced Derek Brunson in the grappling game and all of that good stuff. And when it came down to it, and he started landing, I mean, I've never seen Derek Brunson. First off, jump guillotine. That was weird, right? I was like, okay, we're a jiu-jitsu guy now, all right. But also, when he's on his back, eating big shots, guard barely closed, and his arms were relaxed, and he was just chilling like this. Like, why a dude is trying to take your head off. And I was like, okay, this is not good. And I'm glad his corner threw in the towel. Thoughts? That's the big thing I want to take away. Correct move by the corner?
100%, Derek. They should have done it earlier. There was multiple times where Derek Brunson was cool. He literally, in his mind, said, "Fuck it, knock me out, bro.
Yeah.
Put an end to it. Like, please, I am dog shit tired. Please hit me hard so I can at least pretend to go to sleep. Like anything." And I was very, very happy to see the corner throw it in. It was one of the few times where a corner has actually done the right thing and stopped their fighter from receiving more damage. And to go back to what you were saying about Du Plessis and his gas tank, man, no way in hell you can't tell me homeboy wasn't tired. He was gassed, arms down. They're throwing punches like that, just literally picking arms up and just like swinging them and not necessarily throwing a punch. Homeboy was very tired. This was an interesting match because I was excited for this one. Du Plessis came out in the beginning. He was talking shit. He was saying, why Bo Nickal doesn't deserve my spot. This dude's in my division. I'm coming for this. All this stuff. He had a bunch of hype, man. I was happy. Somebody finally said something. Somebody stood up for themselves. And then you go and you have a sloppy of sorts performance, if you will. I mean, it was a fun fight for the most part, but Derek Brunson had a rough time go of that gas tank, man. And it definitely didn't win anybody any marks with the brass going forward. What do you think, Derek?
I mean, a lot of people, they're saying that Du Plessis is setting himself up for when he starts fighting the upper echelon of the, that division, that things are going to start looking a little ugly for him. You know what I mean? And I'm interested to see it. I just want to see it. I'm just glad we got a dude who's really making some traction here. So getting past Blonde Brunson, I will never discount that because if Kevin Holland would have been able to do that, it would have been sky's the limit for him. So shout out to Du Plessis, new player on the scene. He's really making some noise, man. 19-2, putting on for South Africa. A little drama over there, but we're not going to talk about that. And all right, man, let's move on to this next one. This one, I'm not going to lie to you, AJ. We both called it. I said I don't really see it happening, but Amanda Ribas, she just outworked Viviane Araujo. And we're starting to see a real dilemma in Araujo's career. And that is, if you can get past rounds one and like maybe like the second half, like get to the second half of round two, you can outpace her, you can make her tired, and you can have your way, right? And Amanda Ribas did that. 86 strikes total for Araujo, 205 for Amanda Ribas. She just said, I'm just going to put a pace on you. And that's what she did. 2 takedowns. I mean, you look at her face, she's bruised, she's battered, she looks like she got it put on her because there was a clear power discrepancy, man. But it's just almost like the game plan is too simple for people who have a good ground game and who could stand up. Is this a good or a bad thing for Amanda Ribas, AJ? I don't know. Making this much trajectory in a weight class above the one you'd normally fight at, I don't know. What do you think?
I don't necessarily know, Derek, especially because of the wear and tear that she suffered from, like you said, being understruck. Or like if you have the most or the more of the punches out there, you would expect the other person's face to look worse than yours. Not necessarily the case because Araujo was just throwing heat. And that's why you're not getting as much output. That's why you don't have the same kind of numbers, sure. And it did lead to the gas tank issues of Araujo, but just on if you watch the fight, or if you didn't watch the fight, you just see how they look after, you would think Ribas suffered a lot of impact, man. You think she was the one that lost that fight. So doing that in a weight class above, looks good, but then you go back down to your weight class and now they're competing at the same, they have the same outputs you do. Sure, it does, I guess, bode well going forward, at least for your career. But I can see how it doesn't really advance you in the rankings or in your own division or all that stuff. But it does do a lot for you, at least career-wise and fan recognition-wise, which, I don't know, which one would you rather have,
I don't know. It's tough just because I think realistically you want the most realistic shot at the belt. And for Amanda Ribas, I just think the size discrepancy at 125, man, the power difference between a lot of these fighters and her is just a little too much. I think she has her best run in strawweight. I think that she's probably doing this, though, because of the inactivity right now of both divisions. They're both very kind of stagnant. So she's like, fuck it, I'll fight wherever I want to. Kind of the Jessica Andrade approach to set yourself up for new opportunities in these weight classes, man. So that was just a very impressive win through and through, right? All right, man, we're not going to touch on all of these prelims, but we'll just hit on a couple of more, man. You got to say, I'm surprised this one, I mean, it couldn't have been fight of the night, but like this should have gotten a performance bonus. Powerbar, Marc-Andre Barriault against Julian Marquez, the Cuban Missile Crisis. If there's one thing that I love about Julian Marquez is that he's very RoboCop-esque in terms of they are do or die fighters. They either, what's the phrase, man? Either like kill him with the sword or come back on your shield. What's the phrase?
Either go out there or if you're gonna come back on your shield. I forget the
something
exact
like
saying.
that. But the point is, it's kill or be killed over there, man. And Powerbar does what he does, man. He beats you with his cardio. He beats you in the long run. Marquez was landing some bombs, but he was taking some bombs too. The argument for this one, this was fun. It doesn't really matter the outcome, man. This was a fun fight. The argument here, the big controversy is, did Marquez take too much punishment before the referee jumped in?
Yeah, I mean, especially with how big these dudes are. But at the same point, to that, why I have the hesitation is because Julian Marquez is such of a savage fighter that he's never out until he is actually out. And I'm sure in the back, he said too, just let it go until, I'm done. Because that is the kind of fighter that Julian Marquez is. Whether it's the face of adversity, this dude always has a puncher's chance. So I think that's why the ref let it go a little bit longer. But yeah, like I said, he let it go a little bit longer.
That's right. I mean, that was a fun fight, bro. That was nonstop gore, violence, blood, all that good stuff. I mean, Julian Marquez looked like a mess after that one. But shout out to the Power Bar, man. I mean, this dude continues to get no respect, but we respect him here on this program. All right, bro. How close to jumping off of your couch and doing backflips and shit were you when Ian Machado Gary got clipped by Song Kanan, man, and everyone was like, hype train derailed, and then he comes back and he works him round 3 and then hits him with the Billy strut at the end, man, walks off with the, you know what I'm saying? Like, listen, Ian Gary can be a star, bro. He can be a star, but he came moments away from having the whole thing derailed, and I think it was really a fight IQ error by Kanan, who could have choked the man and put him to sleep or just followed up with punches and got him out of there. What'd you think?
Derek, I may not have been close enough to doing backflips, but at the point when this fight was going on, I was riding in the Uber and I screamed and scared the Uber driver because this was a moment where the lights were starting to fade. Everybody with the sheet had been ripped. The veil is off. Ian Gary is no longer the real deal, but then he composes himself. Then he gets it back. So this was a good fight, especially Song Kanan. Dude's a veteran, man. So getting tested and coming back spoke levels for Ian Machado Gary. I'm excited to see because this dude has all the potential to be a star and all the skill set to really back himself up in a troubled situation. That's
it, man. And showing the ability to overcome adversity is important, that you don't just fold when you get rocked, right? So shout out to that. And then the reality, two more, and then we'll wrap up here. Baby Shark, man, Tabatha Ricci against Jessica Penne. Not much to say here because it was kind of a low volume fight. But Jessica Penne, I think at this point, you got to start considering maybe it's time to wrap it up because you're just getting the young guns. Baby Shark, she's ready to go. She wanted to grapple. She wanted to wrestle. And Jessica Penne wanted to just not stand up and get on her feet. She felt like she had a better attack from her guard offensively, but it didn't really seem to be that case because she was getting calf kicked a trillion times off her back. Baby Shark just did the impressive thing. She finally said, I'm going to stop playing. I'll pass your guard, take your arm, and then armbar you. But I feel like a lot of questions weren't particularly answered in this fight. You know what I mean? So my only question is, should Jessica Penne call it quits, man? Do you think she should stick around? What do you think?
I think she should, man. 40 years old, and to Jessica Penne's credit, she looked very strong. There was moments where both girls would have a strength contest. They're trying to push each other one way or the other, and Penne was able to get the better of some situations. Now, that being said, Tabatha Ricci had the speed advantage, the striking advantage, the ground game advantage. She had all the other intangibles in her favor, and still the strength advantage was very, very close. Both girls were very, very strong, but you can't depend on your strength when you're 40 years old fighting these young guns in a savage sport. I think it's time for Penne to hang them up. What do you think?
Yeah. I'm always in favor once it starts getting to this point. You're just racking up the losses. But I will say one thing that it did seem Ricci was a little having a hard time dealing with was the length of Penne, man. Her legs are just so long. It's like, how do I pass these long ass legs, man? So interesting, but might be the end of an era right there. And then I just want to talk about your sleeper real quick, man. Farid Basharat, the Bash Bros, man. The Bash Bros and the Bonfim Bros. Those are the new hottest players on the scene right now. But he gets the win against Damon Blackshear. And I want to tell you this, man. Blackshear was throwing heat. He was coming forward. I still think Blackshear is going to have a very impressive career moving forward because now he is 0-1-1, right? But Basharat, man, just made it so difficult for Blackshear to hit him. His head movement was so phenomenal. His distance management. So I think this was, because if you look at Basharat's face after the fight, it looks like he almost never even got into a fight. And that's how impressive this is, man. So just impressions of the fight, and then we'll wrap it up.
And the composure of Basharat, man, the ability for him, because he did get punched in the face a couple different times. Mm-hmm. He was in some trouble. Like you said, not an actual mark on him. The face didn't change. The breathing didn't change. He was in the fight. This was a good one for actually, and for both people, I think both of their stock rise, both Basharat and Blackshear, their stock grew a whole bunch because Blackshear had Basharat in danger. And yeah, the end fight sequence, the triangle armbar, that whole shenanigans was very, very close. But still, the whole fight, regardless of that, was even closer than I was expecting. I think a lot of people are calling for a smash spot. Blackshear showed he's the real deal. Well, Basharat also showed that he can get into some situations and thrive in with the worst of them.
I was going to mention that, man. That triangle at the end, everyone was like, Hail Mary triangle, this is it. And so Blackshear went from the triangle then to try to work the triangle armbar, but then he brought his arm in, and if he had a couple more seconds, he could have snatched the Kimura right there, and it would have been over. So, fantastic fight, man. But with that being said, we got just a couple of minutes, and really quickly, let's jump into a rankings review. And today, I think it's going to be pretty obvious who we need to be talking about right here, but I want to call into question, once again, the women's flyweight division, man. Now we got some action. Now we got some movement. And when we're looking at the rankings right here, and a little update still needs to be made, but through and through, it's more or less, the same. Valentina, no longer the champion. Now it goes down to the UFC rankings, number 6, Alexa Grasso. I had her at number 4 in my rankings. You had her at number 5 in your rankings. So still, there's respect across the board. It's not like we didn't respect Alexa Grasso. But the question becomes, right? Let's just say in a hypothetical world, Alexa Grasso defends the belt against Shevchenko. Now she's legit. They say you're not a real champion until you defend, right? She's legit. She's undisputed. Tyler Santos, Manon Fiorot, Erin Blanchfield, Jessica Andrade, Caitlin Chikagian, Lauren Murphy, brother. I mean, when I'm looking at it right now, the only person in the flyweight division Alexa Grasso currently has a victory in that's like legitimate ranked in the flyweight division, who can you name? You can't name anybody. Viviane Araujo, who we just saw just drop one to a strawweight in the Ribas. So that's the real question right here, brother. It's like you have to imagine every other flyweight on the roster right now is just now's my time. Now's my moment, baby. Out of all of these people, man, I'm not saying Alexa Grasso isn't the real deal. I'm not saying she's not a very talented fighter. But out of these people, who has the best shot of dethroning?
Quite a few, Derek, unfortunately, man. I mean, Tyler Santos, Erin Blanchfield, even Chikagian, I think, can get it done. Like, man. I think the best shot right now that Alexa Grasso has, Lauren Murphy, I mean, I think she can get one on Lauren Murphy, but that's still a very hard fight. Other than that, the length of Chookagian, the power of Andrade, the skill of Blanchfield, the length, weirdness that Firo presents, the all-around greatness that Santos has, all of these are very, very difficult for Grasso going forward. Who do you think Grasso has the best chance to defend against?
I'm in a weird spot. I do think that if she got matched up with Caitlin Chookagian, she could definitely win that fight. Jessica Andrade, if she could manage to not get taken down and she can avoid the big bombs of Andrade, she might be able to get the job done there. I mean, realistically, man, I just see this as being the most open. Now I see everybody saying, give me a shot at the champ. And then you never want to hear that. When everyone's just like, oh, yeah, licking their paws, man. Just like, oh, I can't wait to get my hands on the champ. That's my belt now. The last thing that you want is for the belt to be bouncing around a trillion times, right? But that's, like I said, this is all predicated on, can she beat Valentina again, definitively, right? And if she can, I mean, that's when we have this conversation. If she can't, well, we go right back to the bullet being on top and everybody else, y'all better just get in line, man. So, sheesh, we'll talk about a ranking review right there. All right, folks, well, that was UFC 285. Do not forget, we're actually going to a weird spot. We're not on a fight night next week, even though we are. Like, we are, but we're not. It's not a UFC Vegas card. It's a UFC Las Vegas card. Are you familiar with the difference, AJ?
No.
So this one isn't at the Apex. This is going to be at one of the theaters here in Vegas. And of course, because you have Petr Yan and Merab Dvalishvili, they say we got to throw some fans up in there. You know what I'm saying? So this is going to be UFC Las Vegas. This is happening, next week on the 11th. Fun fight. Lots of good fights on there. We have Ryan Spann versus Nikita Krylov rebooked. Not on the main event, of course, but on the main card. So lots to talk about. But AJ, man, I think we've hit on just about every point. Give the people the last words, and then we'll hop up out of here.
Yeah, Derek, no, this is a fun week. And like I said, folks, if you were rocking with us, you saw early on who's winning y'all the most money. You've heard it before, your favorite fighter's favorite fight show. But if you're watching those picks, you made some money this week. Jon Jones is back. But again, we're going to be continuing it on till next week, winning even more money. Like Derek said, UFC Las Vegas. It's going to be a fun one. Petr Yan, Merab Dvalishvili, the machine coming at it. Always make sure you're subscribed. Like, comment, share with your friends, all the whole deal. You already know where to go. BloodyWaterPodcast.com. Go check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/Santa Fe Bomber. It's going to be a fun week coming up. I'm doing a little more breakdowns over there. So if you're looking to get an in-depth and you want to know what's going on, you want to know why what's being said is being said, man, that's why, man. Go check out twitch.tv/Santa Fe Bomber and go jump in the chat. Say what's up to your boy. It's going to be a fun week, folks. Make sure you're tuning in.
That's right. Couldn't have said it better myself. Folks, that is it for us. Tune back in on Friday for the preview show. You know what time it is. All right, folks. Until next time. Peace.